what's up everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today guys I'm going to give you a few Criterion recommendations. As you know, it is the 50% off Criterion Barnes & Noble sale that is going on right now. So everybody's getting their Criterions. They're scooping up all their Criterion titles for 50% off, 20 bucks in most cases. And yeah, it's a very exciting time of the year for Criterion fans, for physical media fans, and classic movie fans as well, because Criterion does cater to lots of the classic films, you know, from the olden days, as they would say. So I'm excited to be here, guys, and talk about some movies that I've watched recently, and also some that I've watched in the past. Just some Criterion titles that I feel like you need to have in your collection. But before we get into it, guys, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber to the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button for more great content. We do tons of stuff on this channel, mostly centered around the world of physical media, new 4K and Blu-ray reviews. I do news updates every single Monday with the Physical Media Report. I do Blu-ray hunting videos, recommendation videos like this, collection hauls, unboxings. If you like, Blu-rays and 4Ks, owning the movies that you love, all this stuff behind me, you will definitely enjoy this channel. So hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video and comment down below, guys. What are some recommendations from you to me? What do you think that I need to have in my collection? Even though I'm not really partaking in the sale this month, I've got a ton of titles that I need to watch. It is, though, Criterion month on the channel. This is a summer of Criterion, and this is my first Criterion video. God, we're like 9 or 10 days in, and I'm just getting around to doing a Criterion themed video. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. So let's get into my recommendations. Are you guys ready for that? Are you ready for my recommendations? Probably. I'm a minute and a half in and I haven't even got started yet, but I got to talk about this first movie. So people have been trying to get me to watch this film, I feel like, for 2 or 3 years. Since I've started collecting for Criterion, this is like the only movie that I've heard about. Everybody raves about this movie. Everybody talks about this film. And I just had to watch it. This was the first one that I watched in the summer of Criterion month on my channel, and that is The Night of the Hunter, starring Shelley Winters and Robert Mitchum. So I watched this the other night. I think it was like, I don't know, it was like midnight or 1 in the morning when I watched this. I was like, I need to pop this in and knock this out. And it was late, and I was a little bit tired before I started it, but this movie just kept me enthralled and captivated just the entire time, engaged. Like, I was on the edge of my seat during certain parts of this movie. In particular, like the last 30 minutes of this film are so thrilling. But yeah, I really love this movie and definitely get what all the hype is about now. Robert Mitchum gives a hell of a performance in this movie. He's fantastic, just very menacing, very creepy. Like I said, like the last 30 minutes, there's a scene with him that is like a legitimate jump scare. I like jumped and shook a little bit when it happened. But yeah, I don't know how to actually describe this film. It's almost like a horror movie. I would say it's probably more thriller, but there are certainly deeply disturbing, horrific elements in this film as well. Directed by Charles Laughton, who was an actor like back in the 30s and 40s. I was looking at him and his filmography, but this is the only film that he ever directed. So I think he died like maybe 5 or 6 years after this, but you have to wonder, like, this being your first feature film debut and you putting out quality like this, you have to wonder, like, what would have happened? What kind of films would we have gotten had he lived for another 20 years and just kept directing? This is just like as close to a masterpiece as you can possibly get. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. Loved it, love it, and would recommend it that you add it to your collection for sure. I'm trying to think of what else I want to say about it. But yeah, Robert Mitchum is incredibly creepy in this movie. And I don't want to give away too many details. I get criticism all the time that I spoil too much stuff in some of these older movies. I really want you all to watch this because a lot of people recommended this one to me and nobody spoiled it. Nobody really said what it was about, what it gets into. So I don't want to do that for you guys. Just watch this movie. Trust me in this recommendation. It is an absolutely horrific film, but it's so good. The kids that are in this movie, the child actors, are really great. I feel like when you go back in time and like the 40s and 50s and 60s, like the child actors just, it doesn't feel like they were as good back then for some reason. They just feel a little bit more cheesy. It's almost like they directed them that way to act more like childish. But the children in this movie are actually like legitimately good in their roles, and I really enjoyed them. Even when like the adults weren't around and they were acting together, because there's some situations where they have to, you know, figure things out together. I just thought they were great in the film. And yeah, Shelley Winters in this movie, classic actress. She's been in a ton of great classics. I thought she was fantastic as well. So yeah, but Robert Mitchum, he just absolutely steals the show. But another actor that I do want to highlight real quick is Lillian Gish, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, but she was phenomenal in this movie. I loved her and her character and her role in this, especially, like I said, in the last 30 minutes. Like, I thought she was incredibly badass in what she did at the end. I thought she was great in the movie. So she was definitely a standout for me beyond Robert Mitchum in the role. But yeah, just incredibly creepy. It's a disturbing movie. Just his acting, just what he does and his performance. It's not like overtly like creepy in the way that you would think it was, but it's so over the top that you know, he'll be acting normal for like maybe 20 or 25 minutes, and then he just snaps on a dime and just changes his demeanor, and the way that he does it is just incredible. So I love this movie, really love this movie, and thank you all for recommending this one to me, because it did not disappoint at all. So absolutely recommend you get this Criterion release. Got a lot of great special features. I didn't watch all of them, but I watched a couple of interviews and stuff, but tons of great special features on this one. It's actually this is a 2-disc set, and you know, the first disc is the actual movie, and then I think the second disc is like an entire documentary on the movie. This is Charles Layton directs The Night Hunter, a 2.5-hour treasure trove of outtakes and behind-the-scenes footage. So not a documentary, but new conversation between Git and film critic Leonard Maltin about Charles Layton directs. So great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Again, I'm pretty sure this one runs you a little bit more in the sale. I think it's $25. I think it's $50 at full price. A little bit more, because I think it does include that documentary. But yeah, Night of the Hunter, that's a high recommendation. Again, I will link that down below, but an absolute high recommendation. Also got to talk about this guy right here, Shaft. You're damn right, we're going to talk about Shaft, guys, because I got Shaft on 4K. Again, I waited. This one just came out in June. I waited till the sale month, and I said it in my video. I said I'm not participating in the Criterion 50% off sale, except for Shaft and Raging Bull. Those are the two titles that I was going to get on 4K. So I watched this one the other night, and man, I can't say I was completely blown away by the story, but just the style and aesthetic and the mood of this movie. Like, it just has such a mood, and I just love this time setting, this period piece, like just the early 70s. I love filmmaking in the 70s. It just feels so raw and gritty. And it just feels like when you watch it, you just feel like I'm watching a film right now. Like, this is cinema that I am experiencing. And yeah, just such an aesthetic, such a mood to it, such a vibe. I think that's what the kids say nowadays. Richard Roundtree as Shaft, like he has such a demeanor to him. He is so good, so charismatic, so charming in this role. He's like cracking bottles over people's heads. And I'll say right now, there's a lot of blood in this movie. I'm not going to say gore. Doesn't go that far, but there's a lot of blood in this movie. It looks phenomenal in 4K. This transfer as a whole, 4K transfer. If you were on the fence on picking up Shaft, I'm going to tell you what, you damn right you need to pick up Shaft on 4K, because it looks damn good. Definitely one of the best 4K transfers of the year. But yeah, Richard Roundtree is so incredible in this role as Shaft. So as for the story is pretty basic. You know, he's a private eye. There's the girl that goes missing. Somebody hires him to find her, and you know, there's mob bosses involved and gangs and stuff involved. So there's all kinds of stuff. The plot gets a little bit too convoluted at some points, in my opinion. But again, you watch this for the mood, for the aesthetic, for the incredible performance by Richard Roundtree, and it's definitely an iconic character. It's definitely an iconic character that I will never forget. I do want to watch the sequels to this one as well, which the first sequel is actually included in this Criterion set, which I didn't realize when I bought this, but I opened it up, and you have the movie Shaft on 4K, and you look underneath, and it's like, it says Shaft's Big Score, and I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, that's the sequel. So they pretty much did the same thing that In the Heat of the Night did, the Kino Lorber release of that. They included the two sequels on that. They included the sequel on this. Now there's another one, Shaft Goes to Africa, I think. that they didn't put on this, but that would have been awesome if they did that one on here as well, and you could have got all 3 of the movies. But again, not complaining. This is 2 movies for the price of 1 in this 4K set, and I don't think that they really charged any more on the price, because I got this for 25 bucks off of Amazon, so they didn't charge any more for this one. And again, it is a 4K as well, but you also get Shaft with a 4K scan on Blu-ray, so 3 discs in this set, and I just thought it was an incredible set. You get this little booklet right here. The artwork on this set is incredible. This might not, is this a booklet? No, this is like a pamphlet deal right here, but super awesome. I love this release. Again, I'm just a big fan of this movie. Directed by Gordon Parks, so he does a phenomenal job directing this movie. Like right from the beginning, just the crane shot through the city. You're watching Richard Roundtree walk through traffic and stuff, just owning the streets. Just the way it's shot is just so brilliant. So I'm a big fan of this movie. Love this movie. It's got tons of special features, so just came out of it. It's Criterion sale month, guys. Get this. It is one of the best 4K releases of the year by far, hands down. But that's my second recommendation. Let's get into my third one. So I actually did a review for this one last year on the channel, and this is Chronos. This is a Guillermo del Toro film, and I'm pretty sure it's his first feature film, and this one's got Ron Perlman in it as well. Interestingly enough, he's the only English-speaking actor in this film, and he speaks English in this movie because I forget exactly what it was, but I think Guillermo wanted him in the movie, and he's like, you know, I don't speak Spanish right, because he knew that this was a Spanish movie, and Guillermo was like, yeah, I know. He's like, it doesn't really matter. And Ron Perlman did not learn Spanish or anything, and he speaks English in this movie, surrounded by a bunch of people that speak Spanish. And there's a lot of really funny moments throughout the movie. Not that this is a comedy by any means, but there's a lot of fun moments throughout the movie with his interaction with some of the other characters because of that. So yeah, he's great in the movie, but this is just a really interesting story. It's basically a vampire story. But it's told in a very different way, because it's not that he got bit by a vampire, but it's that he got his finger pricked on this little like device, and that makes him crave human blood. So it goes, you know, the plot goes from there. You can guess where it goes from there, but it goes in some interesting directions, and I really enjoyed this movie as an earlier like Guillermo del Toro film. Definitely all the hallmarks of a del Toro film for sure. Just the style and the aesthetic of it is very del Toro. But yeah, I was a big fan of this one. Definitely a high recommendation. I think you guys should own this one. There's a lot of his like earlier short films on here as well as special features, and they were actually some pretty cool short films if I'm remembering correctly, because it's been about a year since I watched this one. But I wanted to watch The Devil's Backbone, and I did. I watched half of it, but I didn't get enough time to finish it. So I'm definitely going to be talking about that in a future recommendation video this month, because I'll probably do a couple of these. But I got halfway through it, really enjoying it so far, but I need to finish it to talk about it. So the last, not the last one, but the second to last one I'm going to recommend to you guys is a 4K that came out last year. It was one of their first 4Ks, but Menace to Society. This is a stunning film. I love this movie, directed by the Hughes brothers. It's got a lot of really notable actors in as well. Samuel L. Jackson pops up in this movie very briefly, if I remember correctly. But, you know, say what you want about her now. I know a lot of people aren't happy with Jada Pinkett Smith now, you know, given everything with, you guys know. But anyway, you know, G.I. Jane 2, all that stuff. She is great in this movie. I definitely, you know, need to check out more of her like earlier work, because she's definitely not a star because she's married to Will Smith. She did a lot of really great stuff before, you know, marrying Will Smith for sure, and this is definitely one of them. She's great in this movie, stunning in the film. All the actors in this movie are great. It just has such a realism to it. And again, the ending just like left me floored. Like I was just sitting there like, very few movies will just leave me stunned to where when they go off and the credits start playing, I just sit on my couch and I watch the credits roll, and I just can't move because I'm just processing what I just watched and how it affected me. And this movie does that for sure. It's a great movie. You know, Menace to Society came out in 1993. So high recommendation. If you did not pick this one up when it came out last year, I actually got it during last year's sale in November. Definitely grab this one. Look at the packaging on this. Is just, I've called Criterion out before this year because they have not done a good digibook all freaking year, and they did two amazing ones last year with this one and Uncut Gems. and they just haven't done anything this year. So hopefully they do something soon. Tons of great audio commentaries, special features, all that good stuff. The transfer is incredible. Like, all the Criterion 4K transfers that I've seen so far have been amazing. So they've been doing some great work. So Menace to Society, I do highly recommend that you pick that one up this month, especially if you had never seen the movie. If you like movies like Boys in the Hood, some of those early 90s, like Life in the Hood, urban society type of films, definitely recommend Menace to Society. It's such a great movie. A lot of people talk about a Dead President, so hopefully Criterion decides to do that soon, so I can check that one out. The last one I'm gonna recommend, I was a little bit on the fence about recommending this because I'm not a huge fan of this director or his films in general, but I would say this movie is the one that I probably like the best as far as his films that I've seen, and that is Blue Velvet. So Blue Velvet, just visually, is beautiful. It's a gorgeous film. It's very appealing to watch, and I do feel like the narrative flows pretty good, and it's not as awkward and just like dreamlike and clunky as some of his other work is. Again, I know David Lynch has a style, and some people really love it. I can't get down with it completely like other people can, but I feel like this one is definitely the most accessible David Lynch film that I've seen. Dennis Hopper is like out of this world in this movie, but he is great. I love Dennis Hopper and everything that he does. Even Super Mario Brothers and Waterworld is a personal favorite of mine. He played a lot of villains back in the day. Speed, one of my favorite villains of all time, but he's great in this movie. But yeah, I would say this is probably my favorite David Lynch film. I've joked before and said Dune 1984 is my favorite, but I would say this one so far is probably my favorite David Lynch film. I would say this is a really good movie, and I completely understand. Some people would say it's a masterpiece. I can't go quite that far, but I do recommend that you own it and you watch it. It looks great. It's phenomenal. It's definitely a really interesting film, and I do love these packaging, this digibook packaging as well. So this has like a cool booklet in it, and just cool packaging in this release. Isabella Rossellini is fantastic, stunning in this movie. You got Dennis Hopper in this film. You got Kyle MacLachlan's really good in the film. Laura Dern's in this one as well. Dean Stockwell. So really good ensemble cast, and everybody's great in the movie. So highly recommend this Criterion release of Blue Velvet for sure. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for checking out this Criterion recommendation video. Again, it is a summer of Criterion here on the Mid-Level Media channel. I'm going to be watching and reviewing and talking about as many Criterion releases and films as I possibly can. If you want to join me in that, then be sure to use the hashtag of Criterion Summer, make a video of your Criterion collection, some recommendations, reviews, whatever you want to do, and just send it to me on Instagram, and I will post that on my community tab here on YouTube. But yeah, guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. Like this video, comment down below what you think of my recommendations. Also leave me some recommendations as well, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.